For years, I searched for identity, purpose, something that could make me whole. I thought religion would save me. I thought being right would save me. I thought zeal would save me. I was wrong. What if worship was never meant to be restrained? What if it was never meant to be silent? What if the worship God desires is not perfected by discipline alone, but released through freedom in response to God's love? Some of you were taught that worship must be contained, measured, orderly, predictable. But before there were temples, before there were liturgies, before there were written psalms, there was a song that erupted from salvation and deliverance. And today, we return to that moment. Hello, I'm Apostle Paul, your host of the Heart First Transformational Podcast. Welcome back to episode 2 of the worship series. If you're walking with us from episode 1, I'm grateful you stayed. And if you're joining us for the first time, you have arrived at a powerful moment in this journey. Because today, we are stepping into worship that flows not from obligation, but from freedom. Worship does not begin when everything is explained. It begins when deliverance is undeniable. Before theology is articulated, the soul responds. And there is no clearer picture of this than the moment after the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea. The chains were broken, the enemy was defeated, and before anyone organized a service, a woman lifted up her voice. Her name was Miriam. Miriam, sister of Moses, prophetess, leader, worshipper. Tell us what happened after the waters closed.
Thank you, Apostle Paul, for inviting me into this conversation. And before I answer your question, if I may, I want to share something that has long lived in my heart. I know you know my brother's story, but there is something I have often pondered. The Red Sea was not the first time God saved my brother Moses from the waters. When Moses was only a baby, Pharaoh commanded that all Hebrew boys be killed. Our parents were devastated. In desperation and in faith, my mother placed him in a basket and set him into the river, praying that God would spare his life. It was one of the hardest things she ever did. We wept, we prayed, and we trusted God with what we could no longer hold. My mother asked me to walk along the riverbank as Moses floated downstream. As I watched him, I asked God to save him. Then I saw Pharaoh's daughter with her attendants bathing at the river. The basket drifted toward them. She noticed it and asked one of her handmaidens to bring it to her. When she opened the basket and saw the baby, Moses began to cry. And something remarkable happened. She had compassion on him. I stepped forward, appearing as nothing more than a bystander, and asked if she would like me to find a nurse from among the Hebrew women to care for the child. She agreed and sent me quickly. I ran to my mother and told her the news, that Pharaoh's daughter had found Moses and wanted her to nurse him. I have never seen my mother so full of joy. God saved my brother that day, so he could one day work through him to deliver our people. And because of that, what happened at the sea did not come from nowhere. We had just witnessed one of the greatest acts of deliverance our people had ever known. When God closed the sea over the Egyptians, we stood there in silence, frozen, trying to understand what our eyes had seen. It took a moment for the truth of it to settle into our hearts. Then Moses began to sing. And one by one, the people joined him. Soon, a song of victory rose throughout the camp. God had saved our lives. He had given us a new beginning. We were no longer slaves, and we knew it. In that moment, God showed us how deeply we mattered to Him, and we understood that if we trusted Him, He would take care of us.
What a story, Miriam. God is definitely in the details, and His plan goes way beyond us. So tell us, what happened to you when everyone started singing and praising God?
Well, as I heard the singing, something welled up within me. The breath in my lungs had been waiting for this moment. I grabbed my timbrel. The other women joined me with theirs, and we sang like we had never sung before. We sang a song based on the words in Scripture. Sing to the Lord, for He has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider He has thrown into the sea. Paul, I'd like to share a small gift of song to your listeners. It isn't the song we sang then, but one shaped for this day and time. So your listeners might feel, in their own world, the joy we knew when God broke through and His love swept over us. Would you mind if I shared that now?
Absolutely. I believe my team has the song ready to go, and to my listeners, I invite you, as you listen, to pause and receive this as a moment of worship.
The sea split wide and the chains fell down. Freedom rose where fear had drowned. The wind of heaven made a way. Our God of glory still saves today. I lift my voice, tambourine in hand, dancing on a promise, standing on dry land. Sing to the Lord, He's won the fight. Horse and rider, cast from sight. Morning broke and icy road. Our God forevermore
Miriam, thank you. I didn't anticipate that being as powerful as it was, but I received it fully. You've blessed everyone listening today. Scripture tells us, then Miriam the prophetess took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and dancing. Exodus 15:20-21. Beloved, notice this. Worship was not commanded. It erupted spontaneously in joyous praise. Miriam, some listening today express worship quietly, with reverence, stillness, or inward reflection. Others respond more openly, through movement, sound, or song. What would you say to those who sometimes wonder if their way of worship is truly seen by God?
God meets us where we are. For some, worship rises as silence. For others, it rises as song. When you have lived through fear, the body remembers. When you have known restraint, the soul may respond through stillness or through movement. And when God delivers, gratitude finds a language that is uniquely its own. Worship is not measured by volume or motion, but by honest, heartfelt love. Whether expressed quietly or boldly, true worship allows the whole person to respond to God's presence and love.
Thank you, Miriam. That was filled with so much wisdom. Thank you for being with us today. You'll have to come back and do this again.
My pleasure, Paul. It was a joy to talk to you and your listeners, and yes, we will have to do this again soon.
And there you have it, my friends. That brings us to an end of this episode. But let me leave you with this. Long after the parted Red Sea, I would later write, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. Worship is not restraint, it is alignment. Alignment with the Father's heart. It is the soul remembering who it belongs to. And when worship is restrained by fear, transformation is delayed. Worship offered from deliverance is alive and deeply grateful. My friends, Miriam did not sing because she was told to. She sang because silence was no longer possible after she witnessed the power and compassion of God. Beloved, has God delivered you from something you no longer even remember to thank Him for? That forgotten gratitude may be the very place your worship has grown quiet. So let me ask you, where has God set you free, but your worship has remained reserved? Where have you survived, but not yet celebrated? Worship begins when gratitude is given a voice. In our next episode, we move from the shoreline into everyday life, when worship is no longer a moment, but a way of being. I'll be joined by King David and Obed-Edom as we explore when worship meets life, everyday intimacy with God in pain, purpose, and presence. We'll talk about worship in loss, in responsibility, in obedience, and in the quiet faithfulness that invites God to dwell in ordinary places. Stay with me, because worship that frees you must also sustain you and become the very air you breathe. And as you move through this week, consider this. Is my worship coming from obligation or from a heart that's been set free? Let gratitude lead you, let freedom shape you, and let worship change your heart and your soul. I'll see you next week.